Now, currently, they have a lawsuit against me.
Right now?
Yeah, a bunch of different people.
The people that you wrote.
Some of the people in the book. Yes.
Okay.
But it's not going anywhere, and I don't have to pay lawyer fees. CDPM yeah. from my lawyers. So this is a weird dynamic. So yes, they just won't let it go. They can't stand the fact that I beat you. I beat them, and they just will continue on.
You know.
But I'm good.
This is the Realest Low Podcast. I'm Realest Low, and today we have a very special guest on the show who's the commander for the Columbus Division of Police. She's one of the highest ranking black females in the division's history. She has over 30 years of law enforcement experience. She holds bachelor's degrees in criminology and social work from Capital University, a master's degree in criminal justice from Tiffin University, and Juris Doctor from Capital University Law School. She's also an author of her memoir, Walking the Thin Black Line, Confronting Racism in the Columbus Division of Police. She's a community leader, an activist, a courageous fighter of justice, and she's also my friend. All right, please give it up for Commander Melissa McFadden.
Oh, thank you. Thank
you
for having me.
You're welcome. How are you this morning?
I am doing well. I'm
That's
glad
good.
to be here.
Okay, I'm glad you're here. Let me first just start by saying that I truly appreciate you taking out your time out your busy schedule to be here today. I want to have a conversation with you about your career as a police officer, your journey through the rankings, you fighting and confronting racism within the Columbus Division of Police, your thoughts on police reform, your brilliantly written book, and your goals and aspirations going forward. Is that cool with you?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So a lot of people don't know this, but you and I, we grew up on the same street.
Yes, we did.
Went to the same schools together. And after, we graduated, we went on about our business, doing whatever we did and everything. And I remember, can't remember exactly who told me. They told me that, you had moved to Columbus and that you was a police officer. And nothing about that shocked me, because back in the day, you was always a person who took care of it. You defended other people, defended yourself. Mm-hmm. And when I heard about that, I was like, yeah, that's Missy. She would have definitely been, I could see you as a police officer. So what was it that made you decide to become a police officer?
Well, actually, when I was 14 years old, I decided that I was going to become a police officer. Mm-hmm. And growing up, we didn't have much interaction with the police.
Right.
At that time. So it was just something about me. I believe it was a calling.
Okay.
And so 14 years old, I had my mindset that's what I was going to be. Mm-hmm. And so I developed the plan. I'm going to go in the military. I'm going to become police in the military so that eventually I'll get experience so that I can get out and become a police officer in the real world,
right,
per se.
Right.
And that's what I did. I went in the military right after high school and was police in the military.
So at 14, you had a plan. You planned it out all like that at the age of 14.
At the age of 14,
yeah.
I wanted to be a police officer, mm-hmm. and I wanted a world globe, and I wanted a fish tank. Those were the things that I wanted at 14.
Yeah, I got you. Now, because in the town that we come from, thinking back, I know for sure there was probably a couple of black male police officers, but I don't think there was any black female officers or anything. So there was definitely none that you saw in your, where you
right.
were from, but you saw police officers on television and
Correct.
things like that,
yes.
and just felt that that's what you wanted to do in order to basically help people, or?
Yeah, because it's like you said, I was always for the underdog,
mm-hmm.
always trying to help defend other people, defend myself. Mm-hmm. It was just something about something that called me about being a police officer.
Right.
And all I saw was the police officers on TV, mm-hmm. Cagney and Lacey,
okay.
But and I didn't have any interaction with any police
right.
growing up.
Right.
But that's what I believe was my calling.
Okay. Yeah. I'm assuming that after your initial training, you probably were excited because you had obtained your dream job. That was your dream
yes.
job. Yeah.
I didn't know. To me, being a police officer was like, I couldn't understand why anybody wouldn't want to be a police officer. I'm like, why would my sisters not want to be? Why would they not? That's just crazy to me. Who wouldn't want to be an officer? That's how strong that desire was to become an officer. And when I graduated the academy, it was just such an awesome feeling. It was a major accomplishment in my life.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. So fresh out of the academy, was it all that you thought that it would be, or was there any disappointing situations that made you think that you had gotten into the wrong career field, or initially?
Initially,
yeah.
When I first got out, because when you first get out the academy as a police officer, you have that badge. And the way they train you inside the academy, it's like us against the world. Mm-hmm. It's like us police against everybody else.
Okay.
And this is my family here, and we're out here, and you have this power, you have this authority, and you become badge heavy when you first get out. Like, oh, you're not going to listen to me? I'm the police. How dare you? Mm-hmm. So it felt great, just to have that family connection, because I had just got out the military not too long before I became an officer at Columbus Police Department. So it felt like another family that I was a part of now. Okay. But immediately on my coaching, I started seeing things I didn't like. I started seeing mistreatment of people. And, growing up, I was on welfare, and the social service agencies used to make my mom do a lot of different things to get the money. That she deserved this money, but they made her go through hoops, mistreated her. Family members mistreated us because we had to rely on them. So when I started looking at the people, the citizens we would come in contact and see how they were treated, I saw myself, my family in those people. Right. And I was very disappointed at how they would act and how they were treating citizens. And it seemed like it was on racial lines or on the lines of class. Classes,
like, And you saying like, you saw those things initially. Well, what did you do about it at that point? Did you do anything about it at that point? Did you speak up and ask questions or say anything to anyone?
Yes. So when you get out the academy, you're on coaching. So that means you ride with an officer, the first officer. You ride with them so many weeks, and they teach you the job. And you're actually out there actively getting evaluated and doing the job by this coach. And then you go to another coach in a different area of the city, and they train you on how they do the job, because you can do the job different ways but get to the same result. So this one particular time, I saw this white officer searching a car, and the driver of the car was a male black, and that officer had that male black sitting in the back seat of his cruiser. And consensual search is this: if an officer asks you if they can search your vehicle, and you say yes, well, anytime during that search, you can limit the search or you can stop him, because it's a consensual search. You gave him permission. Right. So that means you can withdraw permission anytime you feel like it. Okay. So the law says you have to be in the vicinity, that driver of the car has to be in the vicinity where the officer is while he's searching the vehicle, to be able to stop it whenever they want to. Yeah. So if there's a box in the back seat, they can say, well, you can't search that box. Right. So they have to be in the area. But with that male black driver in the backseat of the cruiser, he was not in the position to be able to limit that search. Yeah. So therefore, it makes that search illegal. Right. And you guys, as you pulled up, you saw that. Yes, or saw that, and my coach was like, we need to get out of here. So we got out of there because she knew that was an illegal search. And what they would do, and they probably still do this now, it was real big then, they would search a car. If they found a gun, they would charge the person. If they didn't find a gun or drugs, they would let them go. Yeah. So they would just search people's cars, get permission, and they would do that. And a lot of these people, the citizens, they don't know the law necessarily, so they don't know if it's right or wrong anyway, though. And they just they take advantage of that. They do take advantage of it. And the thing is, with me, I always tell people, if an officer asks you permission, if an officer says, do you mind if I search your car? Or do you mind if I pet you down? We are so arrogant. We're not going to ask you if we can do it. Right. We're just going to do it. Exactly. So if an officer's asking you anything for permission, that means you can say no. Right. So when you say no and they say, what are you hiding? You say, what do I have to prove, officer? Because he would not ask you if they didn't have to.
Exactly, right.
Okay, because there's times when they can search your car, there's times when they search your person because they have reasonable suspicion to do so. But if they're asking permission, that means they do not have those elements, and that there's no reason for you to say yes.
Okay. So going back to, that first question about, when you first were out there being trained, when you saw that situation and the person that was training you, things that they were training you, did they seem like kind of suspect, or were you, recognizing that some of these things that they were training you and telling you about the community seemed odd or wrong at that time?
The person that was training me right.
Okay.
The fact that she knew that this officer was searching this vehicle illegal and wanted to leave the area, it tells me she knew he was wrong.
Right.
So one day she was off, and I had to ride with somebody else because she was off on vacation or she was off sick. And in roll call is where we have, at the beginning of the shift, the sergeant sits there, all the officers working that shift that day are there, and they pass on information. Like if we're looking for a certain suspect, or they'll tell you what car you're going to be in, anything from the previous shift. So we all meet at roll call, and then we go out to the cruisers and we patrol. Well, this roll call, he was going to find me someone to ride with. And that officer named Dave that was searching that vehicle illegally, he was in the roll call. So I had to speak up because I was concerned that I was going to have to ride with him. And I know he does things illegally. And I'm just starting my career.
Right.
So I'm not going to get in trouble for something that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I spoke up and basically said, I don't want to ride with Dave because he searches cars illegally.
And you just said that in the meeting?
I said it right there at roll call in front of everybody. And not realizing that maybe I shouldn't have said that.
After you said it, everybody was looking crazy or something?
Dave was like, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. So we're at roll call arguing about, because I told him I saw you. You had him in the back of your cruiser, and that's illegal. He should have been there to limit the search, the scope of the search. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I just was calling out what was wrong.
Right.
And I was refusing to ride with him. I didn't want to ride with him and risk my job.
Exactly.
Because at the time, I thought that the division, the policing, was legitimate. I thought that they would not tolerate that kind of behavior.
Right.
That searching cars illegally would be something serious.
Yeah, and he would be checked for it.
Yes, but that's not the case.
So did you end up having to ride with him anyway?
No, they did not put me with him, but the next day I got a complaint saying that I was being unsafe the very next day. All of a sudden.
That you were being unsafe while out on
patrol. So that's like when they say you have safety issues, it's very subjective, and they just put it on you if they just don't care for you or retaliation. So I got a call the next day because I was due to be released from coaching, to be out on my own.
Oh, okay.
Because I had already went through the first phase and I got great marks. I already went to the second phase. I was at the end of the second phase of my coaching, got great evaluations. But this one time, now all of a sudden I have safety issues.
Right.
Never had safety issues prior to me calling them out.
Yeah.
And so they threatened to send me basically to another phase. And at that time, a third phase would mean if you don't pass that phase, you're going to be fired.
Wow.
So they were trying to get me to a third phase in order to fire me.
Because they knew.
Because I spoke out against it.
They figured it. She's speaking out already.
Correct. And I'm bold enough to be on coaching speaking out, which I don't.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were definitely trying to phase you on out to get you off the force because they figured that if you're actually willing to speak up in a meeting now and you're basically just out of the academy,
yes,
you definitely would be a problem for them down the road.
Correct. And so yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And if you notice it in my book, there is a Facebook post about me, and it talks about that very incident. And they say in there, even 22 years later, she's still causing problems. So they're talking directly about when I was on coaching.
Right. The captain, I mean not the captain, but the trainer, she recognized it and she wanted to move on so neither one of you would be implicated in what he was actually doing.
Correct.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how fast was the retaliation whenever you spoke up, and you basically just answered that because that was basically the next day.
Like the next day, within that week.
Yeah, within that week.
Because I was due to get released, and I was going to either get released to my precinct to work on my own, or another phase. And when the FTO coordinator called me, I was surprised.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not true. And I told him I feel it's retaliation. And I also explained to him what I said at roll call. And he said, well, if you don't hear from me, go ahead and go to your patrol duty.
Which was the next phase.
No, not the next phase, but me released on my own.
Okay.
So he didn't call me back, so I went on to my patrol duty precinct where I was going to be assigned at after my coaching, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because he knew it was retaliation. He had to.
Yeah. So that was that incident. So how soon was it where you saw something else or reported something else? Or did you just feel because they retaliated, you was just going to fall back because you needed to secure your career or something? Or did you continue to speak out?
I continue to speak out.
You didn't learn your lesson?
I did not. But I mean, as I look back on it, I just look at it as like, at that very moment, I didn't know not to.
Yeah.
And like I said, I believe it was my purpose.
Yeah.
Now that I look back on it, but I also look back on it like that was stupid. You
made some things more difficult for yourself, but you were doing the right thing, no doubt. But yeah.
So I was a year when I realized that the system itself was racist as a whole. I was in a year on, and I was at this training class. And they were, at the time, it was when the music was, people would drive with loud music.
Yeah.
And so when we trained, they give us scenarios. And so the white officers, that was the trainers, they were given a scenario, and they had a car parked in the front and a cruiser parked in the back. And the main instructor was speaking, and he was describing the scene. And he was saying, okay, when you pull up on this car, if the music is blazing, you get on your loudspeaker and you tell them to lower the music down, lower your music. And then when you get up to the car, it got to have their head on backwards. The guy in the car had his head on backwards. And the instructor said, if their pants are sagging, you pull them up by the belt and you pull them out, and so he went up there and did it and pulled the guy out and said, get out here, boy. Come out here, boy.
Yeah.
Using the word boy. And at that very moment, I was like, wow, this whole system's racist.
Right.
Because this is a class of, there's only me as the black person there, but all these people are white.
Right.
And you're teaching all these people, all these 30, 40 people, to call the suspect boy.
Right.
So I wrote a letter, and I said I explained the situation, and I put in there, if you are using that terminology, even if it's an adult male, it's disrespectful.
Exactly.
But if it's a black male, it's got racial connotations to it.
Yeah.
And so the sergeant at the time said he would take care of it, and I never heard of that again in training. But I was so outdone.
Yeah, and it's clear because they're setting all those other officers. You were the only black officer, but you're teaching them that this is what you should be looking out for, really. You know what I mean? You're setting a scenario up and specifically focusing on a certain group of people based on your description of the
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's being taught.
That's been taught, and that continues to be taught.
Yeah.
I mean, for many years we shot at black targets, silhouettes. So when we're shooting down range, it's black. So why we're conditioning ourselves that black is bad?
Right.
So if you look at the silhouette, it's black. You hit the black, you get points. If you hit the white outside of it, you get no points. So that's conditioning our mind to believe black is bad. Black is we shoot at black.
Absolutely.
So in the last 15 years, they changed the color of our targets.
Okay.
Now they're gray.
But
there's probably agencies across the country still using those black silhouettes.
Yeah. I even actually seen, I don't know what town it was in, but somewhere in America, a police department, somebody had complained because they actually had, the pictures of the targets were actual people. And majority of the people that they were shooting at were black. But in that town, there wasn't a big black population, but that's what, they're teaching that. And people try to downplay it and act like, oh, that's nothing. But like you said,
It all adds up. When it's like, for instance, we have to fight. In the academy, you have to fight. And there's a guy that's in a red suit. He's in a red padded suit. We call him the red man. And then you have the hitman. The hitman's in the black suit. So why do we have to have a black suit?
Right.
You know, all that adds
Yeah,
up. When you're
yeah.
shooting at black targets, you have the black hitman. Why can't he be the green man? You got the red man.
Right.
You ain't got no white man.
Exactly.
So why you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all in there. And when you, in training, when they only show videos of black people getting arrested, black people having issues with the police, and that's not true. There's white
Right.
people that have issues.
Exactly.
The white people get arrested.
Exactly.
But that's what they show you. And so they condition your brain
Yeah.
to think black is bad. Black is bad.
It's definitely a brainwash type situation. I remember reading a story in your book about you being relieved of duty and being assigned to work in the property room.
Yes.
And that was a retaliation
Yes.
based off of what, you reporting somebody or?
Yeah, so there was this black female that came to me and said she was getting discriminated against.
Okay.
So I helped her file her EEO, which is an equal employment opportunity complaint against her white sergeant. And that complaint is usually investigated by internal affairs. So they send it over internal affairs. Now the internal affairs commander was a female white. She came over to where the black female was at and that white sergeant. They were still working together. She comes over to their office, his office, in front of the black female, tells him that, that's stupid, that investigation is not going anywhere because it has to come through me, which she's the commander of IEB. And so don't worry about it.
She's basically telling him, don't even worry about it, in front of the
Yes.
person who made the complaint.
Correct.
Wow.
So the female called me crying and told me what happened. So what I did was, I called the union, and the union said, hey, when she gets interviewed out of that complaint against him, make sure she says it. She talks to them and tells them what the commander did.
Right.
Now, when I tell you a commander from internal affairs to actually come from their office, which is not even in the same building or area, to drive down to headquarters to tell this guy this, is significant.
Right.
IAB doesn't talk to anybody about any investigations, typically.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal. So after she had her interview and she discussed it with the internal affairs sergeant of what this IAB commander did, I told the union, I had a tape, and I sent it to the union. The union took it to the chief, and the chief removed that commander from internal affairs.
Wow.
She got removed
Yeah.
out of the bureau. So because of that, she and her friends all rallied to come after me.
Okay.
And that's why I got relieved, was having to work in the property room, doing manual labor because of me standing up and reporting her retaliation
Yeah.
by not wanting to investigate this properly.
That was her job.
It was her job, her people's job. She's
Yeah.
in charge of it.
Right.
Telling him he's not going to go anywhere. Right in front of the black female.
Yeah.
You're so brazen. You didn't even care she's standing
Exactly. Didn't email. She made the effort.
there. She made the effort. She drove down there in person to let him know in front of this black female.
And that just lets you know how corrupt that is, system-wide, because she didn't care of what the consequences of her actions. She was willing to go ahead and just, I'm gonna make it known that, hey, you don't have anything to worry about.
And nothing would have been done to her except for the Melissa factor. That's all I'm saying. The Melissa factor. But I had to go through it because I did it. But I went through it and I prevailed.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that nothing would have been done to her.
Now, okay, so at that time when you were relieved of duty, what was your ranking at that time?
I was a lieutenant
You was a lieutenant at that time?
at that time.
So from being a lieutenant, they dropped you down and had you in the property room.
But
doing
my rank stayed the same.
Your rank stayed the same. Okay.
But they made me do manual labor. Now, when I tell you, they had me taking our bulletproof vests, old bulletproof vests, we have covers on them. There's Kevlar inside the covers. They had me stripping those, taping the Kevlars together, writing serial numbers down, stacking them on pallets. And that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a lieutenant making over $100,000 a year.
Right.
And
That's what,
they don't even have officers doing that.
Right.
Officers, criminal charges doing that. They've never had that in the history. Usually, if you're relieved, you're sitting at a desk answering phone calls.
Yeah.
But they had me doing labor work, substandard work for even officer.
Right.
And I'm a rank as officer, sergeant, and then lieutenant. So I'm like 2 ranks above an officer.
Right.
So for you to have me doing that, that was so degrading.
Exactly.
It was
I can
very
imagine.
degrading. And they were
Yeah.
trying to punish me
Right.
and retaliate for me speaking up.
And possibly break you, because I know other officers had to come down there and see you actually
Yes.
doing that work.
They did. They walked by me and they would speak and I'd be like, hi, and I would keep my face smiling. But inside I was just so embarrassed.
Right.
But I did not let them see that.
Exactly.
Because I was not going to let them. My mom taught me better than that.
Yeah. How long were you actually doing that though? Did they have you doing that?
From March until I got injured in June.
Okay. Yeah.
So lifting those vests, they're heavy. They're like, I would say about 10 pounds each, probably.
Yeah.
7 to 10 pounds. And I would lift a stack. So
Okay.
I lifted a stack and I tore my rotator cuff.
Wow.
So after I tore my rotator cuff, I was not able to go back there to do those. I had to have therapy. It took me about 1.5 years to recover from my rotator cuff tear.
Yeah, I know about rotator. I tore one time myself, so I definitely understand that. And you don't recall or ever seeing or hearing a white officer being reprimanded like that?
Oh, I know. There's
Never.
never been one in history at all. And while I was in the property room, well, actually after I got injured and was off, there was at least 5 other lieutenants and commanders that had EEOs filed against them that were never relieved of duty. None of that. Yeah. They were allowed to stay in their office, do their jobs.
The same.
So it was clearly it was a punishment to me, a signal, a message to send to not only to me, but to other black officers. If you're going to step out of line in their minds and report misconduct on people that are in the clique, this is what you get.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen to you as well.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you, oh man, and then this happened to you. You're a brave person, and there are other people who not so brave. They are experiencing things like that, but they don't want to. They're afraid to speak up or say anything. And I'm sure within your own department, you know what I mean?
There's
a lot of people had things going on and just didn't want to say anything because that works. They know what they were doing, definitely. So yeah. You have a lot of degrees. I mentioned all of them earlier. Why did you pursue them?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One reason was I found that when I would put in for schools and different training sessions in the division, that I would get denied, but people with less rank than me would be able to go, or people with different color than me would be able to go. So I said, okay, they want to keep me from having opportunities to put me at a disadvantage, because those schools are very important to your resume.
Right.
If you want to go outside or to be a chief somewhere else, or they're very important. So what I decided to do, since they want to continue to try to deny me, I'm going to build my resume and make it so tough that you cannot deny my expertise, my experience.
Yeah.
Them classes don't mean anything compared to my resume.
Gotcha.
And that's one of the reasons why I decided to pursue all those degrees, to educate myself. Another reason is back in '99, I got diagnosed with a kidney disease.
Okay.
And this kidney disease, the doctor said, within 10 years, 85% of the people that have this disease, they go into kidney failure.
Wow.
So I said to myself, well, if I don't know what my life will look like in 10 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as much as I can get and live my life for these 10 years.
Yeah.
So there won't be, so I can't say I wasted it.
Right.
So I went from 99 to 2009. I got 4 of my degrees.
Well, okay, yeah.
I was getting 4 of my degrees. I got the Associate of Arts, the 2 bachelor's and the master's degree in those 10-year time period. Then after that, I'm like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
So let me go on further. So that's when I got my law degree.
Okay.
But those are the reasons. And since I've been diagnosed since '99, as this started happening, when they retaliated against me for helping that black female, I was already on the list for a transplant. So my kidney function was so low that I was able to get on the list. Eventually I got dialysis, and eventually I got a kidney transplant, so I'm doing good.
Okay, that's good.
But I fought them through all my sickness.
I see, yeah.
On top of,
Right. And nobody knew about that.
No.
And so these people are coming after you. You're getting these degrees, you're working your job, and you're also dealing with a disease. And, so that's That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but throughout my career, there's been many battles. Smaller ones. That was the largest one. That one. But there's been many battles throughout my whole career fighting this system. So as Black officer, that's why the title of the book is Walking a Thin Black Line, which means that me as a Black officer, not only do I have to protect myself from the racism inside, but I have to protect the Black community.
Yeah.
Because the way they police the Black community, the way they treat the Black community is definitely different.
Definitely.
It's clearly different.
Yeah.
And they are very, very ruthless when it comes to our community. And so people say, why do you stay? Well, it's easier to implode a place than trying to fight it from outside.
Right.
Yeah, so you need Blacks in there that's
Exactly.
like me, that want to step up and say, hey, because I'll show up on scene. I know no one's going to be called an N-word today.
Yeah.
I show up on scene, nobody's going to get abused today.
Right, exactly.
So I'm just saying we need Black officers to
definitely.
be in the system to help fight against what's going on, because they do mistreat the Black community.
Oh,
They do
I
mistreat the
agree.
Black community.
I definitely believe. But when you say that, because I feel, based off what you're saying, that Black communities throughout this country are over-policed.
They are.
So, in my opinion, if you're sitting on a particular neighborhood, patrolling it constantly, sitting there, yes, you're going to catch people speeding. You're going to catch people doing something, because you're there all the time. But these other neighborhoods, predominantly white neighborhoods, they're not being policed that way.
They're not.
But if you sat on those neighborhoods, you would catch people speeding too.
You would.
But see, there are people out there that'll say, that's where all the crime is. That's where all the crime is. The crime is where you can find crime anywhere.
Correct.
There are some problem areas in every city, but I really believe that we, in this country, have been over-policing Black communities for over 100 years or more, That's just what I think,
No, you are correct. We have been. And I think that they're making the argument that there's more crime in the Black community. But as having a criminology degree, I did study the fact that the reason why is because there's more poverty in the Black community.
Exactly.
Poverty is the reason for crime. It causes crime.
Exactly.
So why not give us resources? Why
Right.
not give us jobs?
Right.
Why not give us good places to live, clean places to live?
Exactly.
All these different things that cause poverty. If you eliminate that source, you eliminate the crime. And that's with anybody. So not only do they treat the Black community bad,
Right.
they treat the poor community bad.
Exactly.
We got a poor white community too.
Yep.
They treat them bad as well.
Exactly.
Because they can get away with it. It's like Black community and the poor white community, they don't speak up. They
Right.
don't complain.
And they don't have the resources to fight back either.
And they don't have the resources to fight back.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability to pay for a lawyer
Exactly.
when they get arrested,
Exactly.
violating their constitutional rights.
Right.
Happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Or when they use excessive force on these people. It's the whole system of policing is corrupt. It's the whole entire system. So I don't care where you place that department, what neighborhoods you place it in, what cities, they're all the same because they're
Right.
built on the same racism. They're built on the same racist structure.
Right.
So every police agency, they are built in a system that's racist, that's designed to especially target male Blacks like
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what they do. It's unfortunate, but it's what it is.
And it's so funny when you hear people try to, say that's not true when they haven't walked in my shoes or another Black man's shoes, I remember you winning your lawsuit against the division of the city of Columbus. The jury found that you were discriminated and retaliated against. They also found that the division violated the Civil Rights Act and Ohio Revised Code. The city had to pay your legal fees, which was over $200,000, but they end up only paying you $2. Can you explain how all that went down?
Well, my lawyer and I, so when you have damages, so I didn't lose any money. Yeah, they had me in the property room and all that, but I didn't lose any money at all. And we told them, we said it's not about the money for us, it's about justice, about them being held accountable.
Exactly.
And for me, the $2 reward, it didn't matter to me.
Right.
I just needed to win.
Right.
I just needed somebody to say, Melissa, you were right.
You were right.
Division, you did wrong.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, there's always going to be in the history book. It's always going to be there that I won.
Right.
And the fact that they had to pay my $200,000 plus lawyer fees, to me, that's a big deal.
Right. They still paid something.
Oh yeah, they paid all of that.
Yeah.
On that. So, but yeah, the $2 was just a symbolic to me.
Yeah.
Because we didn't ask for. We just said it's not about the money for us.
You were never even asking for monetary damages.
Well, it's in there. It's in the lawsuit.
Okay.
But when we made our closing arguments, we talked about it, and we're saying, because I didn't have a lot of damages, because you have to have damages.
Yeah.
I didn't lose pay. I didn't lose my job or anything.
Yeah.
So my lawyer said in his closing arguments, it's not about the money for us.
Okay.
But when you're in a system of Ohio, and you have mostly all white jury, they're going to choose what they do. They couldn't deny that it was discrimination.
Right.
But they could try to limit my funding.
Right. And that's
So,
what they chose.
That's what they tried to do. But
Yeah.
it's okay because
Right.
I still got my lawyer fees paid for.
Right. It didn't hurt you.
No.
But because when you think about it, they get $2. It's trying to send some kind of message,
Yeah, so I believe that it had been a different makeup of the jury.
Exactly.
It would have been different.
Yeah.
Because in Ohio, it's very much, because they pull them from all over Ohio. And there's a lot of rural areas they pull from. So a lot of people that not necessarily, they love the police and they don't like racism when people call it out. So that's what I think it was, it played a role into that.
Yeah.
The makeup of my jury.
I understand that. What made you decide to write your memoir? And at the time, I guess.
Well, I think everybody needed to know what, especially after the 2020 George Floyd situation, but I actually started writing it in 2019. I think everybody needs to know what their division of police is like. Because in Ohio, in Columbus, the citizens had a favorable outlook on the police. They, for years, they couldn't do no wrong.
Right.
So I wanted to put it out there so everybody knows what's really going on inside, how the racism is strong, how they mistreat the black community. I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And the only difference with me and other officers wrote books, I still actually work there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to retire and then write it.
Write it. Okay.
I'm write it while I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Your names are in the book.
And
Your first and your last names. These
Yeah.
are real people
Yeah.
that still work there when I released this book. Because at that point, what did I have to lose?
Yeah.
You've already tried to dog me. You've already did all these things, but I need to let the world know how you are
Exactly.
and what you're up to.
Which was bold. What you
It
did
is.
was bold as hell. But you got to think about it. Like most people wouldn't have done that. They would have
No.
waited till they retired and then wrote a book. But you did it, like you said. The names are there. You may bump into them or whatever. Hey, but it's your truth.
It's my truth. And as a matter of fact, in Ohio, there's a year for defamation. Because if I had any lies in the book, you got a year to sue me for defamation.
Right.
No, you didn't sue me for defamation. Now, currently, they have a lawsuit against me.
Right now.
Yeah, a bunch of different people.
The people that you wrote.
Some of the people in the book, yes.
Okay. Okay.
But it's not going anywhere, and I don't have to pay lawyer fees. City pay them for my lawyers. So this is a weird dynamic. So yes, they just won't let it go. They can't stand the fact that I beat them, and they just will continue on. But I'm good.
You good? But there are some people out there who always have to get the get back. You know what I mean? They can't let certain things go, and that's probably who they are, most of them.
Do you know who's heading up the lawsuit?
No.
It's that IAB commander.
The same.
It's the same IAB commander.
So just you only did that one thing in
Because she got moved from. That's embarrassing to be moved from your assignment. She got moved.
Yeah.
So she cannot let it go. It's that same IAB commander that's doing it. She's no longer on the division. She's a lawyer as well.
Oh, she's a lawyer now.
But she was a lawyer. She's
the
a lawyer now. She wasn't a lawyer at the time.
Okay.
But she's a lawyer.
Right.
And so she's no longer, but she was a lawyer before she left the division. So she's no longer with the division. And when she left, she filed the suit. So this is the same lady.
Yeah.
From back in 2017.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
But the division of the city is paying for my lawyers, so I don't have lawyer fees or anything like that.
Okay. But she's trying to sue you and the city right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Man.
Because her evil plan didn't work,
Yeah.
so she's still on it. It's just crazy. But I think it's for a reason, for a purpose. God has it for a purpose. I don't know if he has it going on, continually going on because he wants to expose them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so.
I'm just waiting to see what the end result's going to be, which I know I'm going to win this.
Right.
That's no question.
Right.
But it's just the fact that you would go through all that. You're still on it.
Yeah.
Because you cannot get over the fact that your plan didn't work and you're coming back around for a second and third try. Because after I was cleared, she filed all these complaints on me. That same commander. She actually got found guilty of retaliation against me internally. So she's been keep doing things to try to get me back, but it just doesn't work. No weapons formed against me shall prosper. So she's not learned that yet. So she just continues to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the book, I read it, and I think that the book is brilliant. I think that it's bold. I think you were courageous to do it. It's you basically wrote your truth. And I think a lot of people should read it. I think your book should probably be, distributed out in training academies for police officers throughout the country. Because, it's real.
It is.
And that's what some of these things that are being trained are coming from personal experiences. And certain officers are training people because it's based off of what they think sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's not real it's not for a lot of places in this country. These people have to interact with with the public every day, and they're the ones they're carrying guns. They have access to other weapons, and they can use them on people. Depending on how they feel about people. You know what I mean? I've seen videos where certain people have been tased, but they get hit one time, and regardless of what they're doing, even if they're still fighting, they just get hit one time. Then you have people who are barely even fighting back, but just constantly being tased because there's anger towards a certain group of people. And some of these people, when you give them power and give them a badge, they abuse it.
They do. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And they always talk about how the one bad apple spoils the bunch. No, everybody's got that wrong.
Right.
They're all bad apples. There's only a couple of good ones. The whole system is bad.
Right. Yeah.
So when you come in, this system, even if you're a good person, it molds you into that bad apple.
Yeah.
It molds you and makes you conform to their ways. Unless you have a strong mind and you are not easily influenced.
Right.
But it's not that many.
Right.
And so that system itself, they can come in good, but it spits them out.
Bad.
And they mistreat people. They fall in line. And that's the problem. It's the system.
Yeah. They know better. They can come in knowing better, but be easily influenced and follow somebody else who's basically doing bad things to people, and they think, oh, nobody's watching. We can get away with it. So that's what I'm doing now.
Because everybody else is doing it around you.
Yeah.
So you want to fit in.
Right.
You don't want to be the one that's outcast. So therefore you fall in line. If you don't fall in line, they're going to retaliate against you. They're going to get rid of you. They expect you to fall in line. And it's not what they have written down. If you look at their directives and their policies, everything looks, you can't mistreat people. You got to be courteous at all times. You got to do all these things on the written form. But it's the informal, unwritten rules that we see, and the habits and what you see when you're actually on the street. So people coming in the academy, their intentions are good. I'm here to help people, but the system is what makes them corrupt.
Right.
So now you want to go to the black community and you've never interacted with black people, but you want to go to the black community to help people, but you're there abusing them. You're there racially profiling them. And you're right with over-policing. You got 20 officers assigned to this black area, and you got 10 officers assigned to the white area. These 20, the black area is small. So you got all these officers assigned to the little small area, so they get bored. Because actually, on our area in Columbus, the black community don't call the police like the other communities do. So you don't have calls for service, but you have more people sitting there. So what are they going to do? They're going to start pulling cars over. They're going to start walking up to people, just different things, because they don't have anything else to do.
Exactly.
But on this precinct where it's predominantly white, They got all the calls. Hey, somebody's out in the backyard looking at me. Can you come and check them out? Or there's a cat in the tree. All this nonsense. We got all this stuff going on but they got less officers, but they have more area, geographical area, more calls for service, but they have less officers in this little spot right here.
Right.
Because we're over policed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
I agree. There was a chapter in your book, chapter 7, titled, what is it titled? It's hard to know how to help the black community. And then you mentioned, it's what I started out to do, help people. It's hard to know where to start when many of the problems they need help with are actually caused by the police.
Yes.
Explain that a little further. I mean, what do you think are the problems that are being caused, in these black neighborhoods by the police?
Well, first of all, I think that when they pull people over, say they pull you over, and you're in the black community where it's impoverished community, they pull you over, they give you a ticket. You can't afford a ticket.
Right.
So because you can't afford a ticket, you get a warrant for your arrest. So the next time they see you, they arrest you. So they take you to jail. You're in jail because you can't afford to get out, so you lose your job.
Yep.
Then if you lose your job, your family can't eat.
Exactly.
Your license suspended. All these different things happen at the hands. It compounds, and that's what happens. And it all starts with us.
Yeah.
But see, you in the right community, hey, I'm gonna give you a warning. You the white community, you a juvenile, you out after curfew, I'm gonna take you home. But no, I'm gonna call CPS, Child Protection Services, because you're out after curfew.
Yeah.
In the black community. So it's how they police us, the unfairness in it. They don't cut us a break.
Right. I have a white friend, and he told me this story. He said, he's more laid back now, but as a young guy, he was pulled over plenty of times. He said, how many times have you actually been pulled over by cops? I told him, about 5 times. And I told him, every single time that I got pulled over, and these were at different points in my life, in different states, every single time I got a speeding ticket. He told me that he got pulled over probably 20 times and has never gotten a speeding ticket. He's always gotten warnings. Always, oh, okay, everything checks out, you good, you got your license, see you later. No, not even a speeding ticket. I've never even gotten a warning for speeding. And those are times that I was actually speeding, but I got a ticket every single time. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's one guy that's white. But I believe it happens to a lot, more.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been a cop for over 30 years. I've been on the Columbus Division of Police for 28 years. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Now, this is coming from a cop that's actually a cop.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the reason why my book is so popular in the neighborhood is because I'm confirming everything that we thought.
Right.
I'm confirming it.
Yeah.
I'm confirming
From
what you are saying is
Yeah.
true. I see it. I'm in the system. I know how the system works. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. It's confirmation because I'm still there.
Right.
I'm just not one person saying it. I am a one person that's in that system that's been there all these years and witnessed it myself. I'm supposed to be blue.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. You can still be blue and still do the right thing and try to make changes, but that's not what.
But I'm just saying, to me, I think that thin blue line is nonsense. And I think that the citizens that give us that title, they're the ones that breed that gang mentality in us. That's what we are. We're basically a gang.
I agree. I definitely agree.
But you have validity what you feel about your situation with the speeding tickets and the male white that you spoke with. That's very valid.
Yeah, and he brought that up. He spoke on that. Just thinking about it. And he already knew what my answer was going to be. He knew it. So
because he knows it too. They
exactly.
know it.
Exactly. Yeah. Would you please explain police reform, why police reform is needed throughout this country, and how do we go about obtaining the type of police reform that is actually needed?
The police reform that is needed is we need to get rid of qualified immunity. And the reason why qualified immunity, it's when an officer uses excessive force, as long as it's not something that's out of the regular for a reasonable officer, they can be sued, but it doesn't come out that officer's pocket.
Right.
They don't take his house, they don't take his check or anything.
Right.
It comes out of the city budget.
Yep.
So that's qualified immunity. So we know we're immune from getting lawsuits and having to pay, as long as we stay within our realm. And the realm is very, very broad.
Right.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
I can beat you down for no reason and still not have to pay.
Right.
I can shoot you unarmed and still not have to pay.
And you're not affected any kind of way, nor is your family.
Correct. So if you get rid of qualified immunity countrywide, because it's a United States Constitution thing, so it applies to all police departments in the land.
Right.
If you reduce a level of qualified immunity, if you can't give it at all, if you reduce some of it, that will make a big difference. Because I'm going to move different if I know you can get in my bank account.
Yeah.
I'm going to move different
Yeah.
if I know that you want to affect my family directly.
Right.
Everything's going to change.
Exactly.
Because now they got to worry about their own bottom line. Right now, they just, hey, city got the money.
Let them take care of it.
Yeah. So I can mistreat you and move on with my life because it's not coming out of my pocket.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the major thing you can do that would affect every police department across the country.
I agree. I definitely agree. Do you think President Biden has done enough to bring about effective police reform?
No one has, because we still have unarmed black men being shot every day, every week, whatever, across the country. The system of policing was built on racism. We all know that, on slave patrols.
Yep.
It just needs to be, I would say, defund them. Get rid of all of them, okay? Cut them.
Yeah. All right. So if voted in on a second term, former President Trump plans to roll back police reform and bring back more aggressive policing to the communities that have historically been over-policed. What do you think about that?
I think it's terrible because they've never got rid of over-aggressive policing. They still have military-grade weapons. Nothing's changed. But I think we should have police departments in individual communities. I think their police, like we have substations that's in the individual community, but they're still a part of the bigger overall police department. I think we should have like townships have their own police. I think each community should have their own police.
Yeah.
That the community members control.
Right.
That they sit on a board over. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That will help them understand that these people that live in this community has a say in how you police and what you do to our people in that community. And I think they can develop something like that. It might make a difference.
Right.
Because I know we have to have police.
Yeah.
I know we can't get rid of the system in its entirety.
Right.
But we can change the way the system polices people in general.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have a neighborhood in Charlotte that's predominantly black. They have the people over top of that control those people in those police officers in that area. Then you have another area in Charlotte that has predominantly white people or the South Side people. They have a commission that controls those police officers in the area. And not only in order to be a police officer, you apply directly to that commission.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be an overall function of that department, Charlotte Police Department.
Yeah. I got you.
Then you got to answer directly to those people that
within
live in that community.
Yes.
Because they try to, with us, they try to do it with city council, but that's one person in that city council and they are a part of the city.
Right.
So their best interest is with the city.
Yeah.
It's what's for the city. These people's best interest is what's for the community.
Community, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Again, you have over 30 years of law enforcement experience. After everything that you've been through as a police officer, all of the allegations of racial discrimination, lawsuits, retaliation against you over the years, what is it that makes you still get up each day and put on that uniform?
I think it's just my belief that this is my purpose, that God called me to, that for this very time, He called me to endure this, to fight this. And every day I go into work, I feel that they tried to stop me, but because I'm gonna leave on my terms, it just motivates me to continue, because as much as they try to prevent me from getting everything I deserve out of this job. So that's just the motivation of leaving when I want to leave.
Yeah.
That keeps me going. And next year, I'll leave.
Okay. So that was my next question.
Next year, I will leave.
Okay. So
on my terms.
Those are your future plans,
Yes.
retiring next year.
Next year.
And so, okay. So after that, after you retire from the police department, what are your plans?
Well, I have a law firm right now.
Okay.
I opened in November, my own law firm.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. And I have actual cases and stuff that I work now.
Okay.
So when I retire, I will just do that full time.
So that's good. That's great.
And you never know, the city of Columbus might see me in some lawsuits if they mistreat citizens.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to still continue to help people. I mean, regardless of whatever you do, I'm sure you're going to be great at it.
Well, thank you.
I just want to congratulate you on all of your accomplishments. Coming from where we come from, I remember you as a young lady, and we hung out and played and stuff to see where you are today. I love it. And I just want to thank you for all of that you've done to help communities currently, and the communities that you've served throughout the years. And I also thank you for sitting down with me and having this conversation today. I mean, I really appreciate you taking out the time out your busy schedule. I said that earlier, and I appreciate it.
I thank you so much for having me. And I also want to make sure everybody knows I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Melissa McFadden, not behalf of the City of Columbus or the Division of Police.
Exactly.
So thank you so much again for having me.
Okay, no problem. Give me a hug, lady. Thanks. I appreciate everything, though. Seriously.